Good morning, my dear students. Today we are going to make a video for Indian economics, and that is our first video of Indian economics of chapter first. The chapter first of Indian economics is Indian economy on the eve of independence. On the eve of independence means just after independence, what is the state of our Indian economy? Okay, it is divided into separate parts to study this, that is the agriculture sector, industrial sector, foreign trade, demographic ratios, and occupational structure. In all these parts we have divided our economy and we studied it. Okay, so first of all I will take agriculture sector and its features. As you know that British rule or British government did not want to spend any penny on the development of the Indian economy. Because of this, our agriculture sector is also at a stagnant state. Means there is no development, that there is no technology, there is no irrigation system. Totally it is depend upon the monsoons, and that's why the productivity of that agriculture sector is very low. So first point is low productivity. Low productivity means whatever we have spent on the agriculture, the byproducts or the products which are we are getting, that is not of that much of quality or that much of quantity also. Okay, that is called low productivity. As already we have discussed, in case of British rules, they are not spending money, they did not want to improve, they did not want any improvement in the Indian agriculture. That's why they are not spending any money on it, and they are not giving any attention to the agriculture sector. That is the reason the productivity of agriculture sector is very low. Okay, then come to the next part. Loss due to huge cost involved. Huge cost involved means as we know, there is two different categories or two different parts who are involved in the agriculture sector. That is the owner of the land and tiller of the land. Tiller means farmers who is working in the field. Okay, so owner means the person who is having a land, and the tiller means who is working on that land. Because of that is divided into two parts. That's why owner only want their rental income. Owner is only interested in their rental income. They are not ready to invest any money on the development of the agriculture sector or development of the land, you can say. They are not spend money on the irrigation system, they are not spend any money on the fertilizers, on the technology and anything, and they are only want their rental income. And the heavy part of the production is taken by the owner, and very less part is left for the tilers. So they also did not have enough production to spend on the that land. Okay, they are whatever they are getting, that is just enough for their survival. They are not getting too much of production so that they can invest some part of that on the development of the land. So that is the reason uh, the loss due to huge cost involved in there. Okay, nobody wants to, or owner did not want to spend any money, and tiller did not have any money to spend on the development of the agriculture. Then come to the next one, that is lack of mean of irrigation. Already we have discussed that owner of the land only interested in the rental income. They did not want to invest any money, they did not want any development in the agriculture sector, in the development of that land and all that. That's why they are not spending any money on the irrigation system. The total our agriculture is depend upon the monsoons, and that's why the our productivity is low, and our agriculture is in a very stagnant state. Okay, the fourth one is subdivision of land holdings. Subdivision of land holdings you can understand like this. After the independence, our country is divided into two parts, Hindustan and Pakistan, right? The very cultivated, or you can say very fertile part of land is taken by as or went to the Pakistan, and very less part we are having. In that case, it is very difficult for the administration to divide it into the persons, and division and subdivision. That is very difficult for them. And it is also very important is that zamindari system is also there, and that's on that part also, on that basis also our land is divided into small parts. And because of it, and government also introduce some fragmentation there, because of they are giving some land to the landless farmers. So because of all these reasons, our land is divided into very small segments, and very small pieces, you can say. And that's why it is very difficult to, the most of the part to, or the, you can say, very large part of our land is only wasted for the boundary lines and all that, and division and subdivisions. And that is also a reason of the backwardness of our agriculture sector. Now come to the second part, that is causes of stagnation and backwardness of Indian agriculture. What is the reason behind the stagnation? Means just settle at a one place, means there is no development, and backwardness of Indian agriculture. The first point is that land revenue system. As you know, there is land revenue system is there, and the zamindari system is there, and zamindar collect the rent, or you can say lagan, okay, in the form of crop from the tillers or the cultivators of the land, and they deposit some part of that to the Britishers, and they take lot of part with them, and very less part is left with the cultivators of the land, very only for their survival. So because of this revenue system, that is the reason nobody wants to never British rule, not the zamindars. They did not want to spend any penny on the agriculture, in the development of the agriculture, and cultivators did not have any enough money to invest on it. That is the reason that land revenue system is also one of the biggest reason for the stagnation and the backwardness of Indian agriculture. Then come to the second, that is commercialization of agriculture. You know about indigo. I think most of the person know about indigo. That is Neel. In Hindi we call it Neel. Okay. Because British government used India as a source of raw materials, like for their industrial development in the British. So they only want to develop that type of industry or that type of crops in the India, that they can earn cash, or they can earn raw material for their industries, like indigo. One of they are used indigo as a dyes and colors and all that for color their cloth industry in the British. That is one of the reason. So they forced the cultivators of land, they pay them money for cash in advance, only for the cultivation of commercial crops like indigo and jute and all that, which is used by the Britishers as for their raw material as a in their British industries. So that is also the reason of stagnation and backwardness of Indian agriculture. Then come to the last one, that is impact of partition on agriculture. Already we have discussed above that partition of India and Pakistan also affect very much of our agriculture industry, because of the fertile part of the large fertile part of our land is went with the Pakistan. So that is the reason. And you can take here example of jute. Okay, jute is in case of jute is top jute production. India has a monopoly control before the participation, but after participation, lot of the part of that jute cultivation is go to the Pakistan or went to the Pakistan. That's why that is one of the reason for the stagnation and the backwardness of our Indian agriculture. Okay. Now I am taking the next, that is India's industrial sector on the eve of independence. Okay. So as you know, in case of industrial sector also, in case of British rules, they did not want to uh, support the Indian export. Okay, they only want to develop India as a importer, exporter of raw material, as an importer of finished goods. So that is the policy of British rule. Because of that, even because of that, that our industrial sector is also very backward and stagnant. And as you know, before independence, sorry, before before uh, British rule, our handicraft is very world famous. Okay, in the very famous in the world. Okay, and we are getting too much that foreign money or foreign currency in the form of in the because of that handicraft. But after British rule, after British government, all make all type of that rules. They are uh, charging heavy tax on the handicrafts. That's why our handicraft is also totally decayed by the British rules. Okay, the first point, decay of handicraft. Decay of handicraft is one of the important reason for the backwardness of industrial sector. Already we have discussed, in case of handicraft, they did not support anything. Even they British government made a policy. Actually, they made a systematic policy for systematic deindustrialization of Indian industrial sector. Okay, what they have do, they charge they support the policy of free import of sorry free export of raw materials, and free import of finished goods. You understand here? Means they are charging heavy duty if you are exporting anything. Okay, and they have charged no duties for the import if you are importing something, if you are importing finished goods from the Britain. Okay, that is their policy. So because of that policy, introduction of discriminatory tariff policy, that is their policy. Because of that type of discriminatory policy, our industrial sector is in the backward condition. Okay, you understand, I think? Means they are free, they support free export of raw material and free import of finished goods. Okay, that is very important here. Then come to the next, that is low price machine goods. Low price machine goods, because man made goods are very high in price. Because of that, people are attracted towards the low price machine made goods, because goods which is made by machines, that is very high quality and very low prices. That's why that is one of the reason for the deindustrialization of India. Okay, the next one is change in the taste and preference. Because of that machine goods, machine garments and all that, the people are not interested in handicrafts, or people are not interested in man-made materials. Okay, that is also one of the reason for the stagnation of backwardness of industrial sector. Then last point is fall in encouragement to Indian handicraft. Already we have discussed that British rule did not want to develop India as a exporter of anything. Okay, that's why they did not support any handicraft. They did not support any industrialization in India. They only want raw material from India for their British industries. Okay, so that is also the one of the reason. Then come to the next part, that is slow growth of modern technology or modern industries. That is also one of the important reason here.
Start.
So first point of slow growth of modern industries is lopsided growth of industries. Lopsided means low growth of industries. As you know, after starting or with the starting of 19th century, some industries are set up in India, but the rate is still very low. Okay, it is not enough for for the growth of Indian industrial sector. Okay, like that, in 1907, Tata Iron and Steel Industries is established here. Some power plants and communication sector and transport, that railway is also started to settle in India, but the extent at which they are starting to set up this is very low. So that is also the reason of low growth of or slow growth of modern industry. The next point is lack of capital goods. Lack of capital goods means machines and equipments which is needed uh, for the production of consumer goods and all that. So that is the reason if we want to start an industries, we need that infrastructure, that capital goods. That is also not the Indian government also not have a right to invest their money in that field. That is one of the reason. The next one is lower contribution to GDP. As we know, the growth of industries is very low in India, as the production which is given by that industries, the contribution given by these industrial sector to the GDP is very very low. Okay, the last point is limited area of operation of the public sector. Already we have discussed that the Indian government or the British rule, they are not interested in the public sector. They are not allow them to establish more and more industries. Only our industrial sector is limited up to that railway and electricity and only transport. Some of the points they are taking, or some of the sectors they are taking only. Okay, they are not established more and more industries for the consumer goods. So that all are the important reason because of which the slow growth of modern industries is in India. Okay, now come to the next point of this chapter, or next part of this chapter, that is foreign trade on the eve of independence. As we already discussed, the foreign trade, the composition, volume of foreign trade is very drastically affected by the that British rule. Okay, the status of Indian foreign trade is very very in backward condition at the time of independence, on the eve of independence. Okay, so that backwardness is because of that discriminatory policy of British rule for their tariff and trade and tariff. Okay, then come to the first point, that status of India. As already we have discussed these policies of foreign trade, that British rule or British government only support the import and export. So how in the way the status of India as an exporter of raw material and importer of finished goods. Already we have discussed properly. India is allowed to export or free export. They supported free export of raw material and free import of finished goods, which is coming from the British companies. Okay, come to the next one, that is monopoly control. Totally foreign the India's foreign trade is in the control of British rule. That's why they have a monopoly, and they prepare all the policies according to their benefits, according to their profit maximization. Okay, that's why they are supporting only export of raw material and import of finished goods. Then come to the last point, that is misuse of export surplus. So whatever the export surplus is earning by the British government, that is used only for the commercialization of crop and only for the development of few industries like transport, communication and all that, and that's why they are not using it as a for the development of Indian agriculture or foreign trade or Indian industries. Okay, then come to the next part, that is demographic condition during the British rule. Demographic condition means what is the condition of India's population or the people who is living in India. First one, high birth rate. Birth rate is very high because people are very poor and uneducated. They did not know any new methods and all that. You can say that high, because of that the birth rate of India is very high, and again because of very bad health policies or health condition in India, the death rate is also very high. Okay, we come to the next point, that is infant mortality rate. Infant mortality rate means the child of 1 year or who is in the 1 year, the rate of their death. Okay, so that is also very high because of the poor condition of health in India. Literacy rate is very 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 low in India. Only few people, because of India's tradition also, girls are not allowed for education. Even very uh, that upper class of the society is only allowed to have a education. That is also because of the policy of India, as well as Britishers are also not interested in the education of India. Then come to the life expectancy, that is also very low. People are because of that high death rate, people are not people are suffering from different types of diseases. That is also a reason of very low life expectancy rate. The fifth point is poor state of health facilities. Already we have discussed, there is no proper hospitals, no proper health facilities are there in India. So that is also in very poor condition. Then last point, the widespread poverty, means most of the people of the society are living a very low life, or very poor life. They are poor, they are not they are, whatever they are having, that is only for their survival, that is enough only for survival. They are not spending the money for education, for health and all that. Okay, come to the next part, that is occupational structure during the British rule. Occupational structure means our total that economy is divided into three parts, that is primary sector, secondary sector and tertiary sector. Primary sector means which is directly related with nature, and secondary sector means industrialization is there, and tertiary sector means that infrastructure facilities like communication, transport, railways, road and all that. Okay, so primary sector, the contribution of primary sector in the GDP is only 72 point the people who are involved in primary sector, that percentage is only 72.7. The people who are involved in secondary sector, that is only 10%, and people who are involved in tertiary sector, that is only of 17.2%, that is 17.2%. Okay, so the next point for occupational structure is regional variation. Regional variation means some of the parts of our country is having a increased workforce, Bombay, like Tamil Nadu and all that southern parts, which is uh, which is which is
Start.
like some of the states are having a large part of secondary in case of workforce, large part of workforce in the sector of secondary sector, like industries. Okay, like Bombay, Gujarat, Tamil Nadu, all these part are having a now in the people who is involved in secondary sector is that ratio is increasing. But the some other parts like Punjab, Haryana, Rajasthan, they are still they are dependent on the agriculture. Okay, so by this ratio you can understand there is reasonable variation is there, that most of the people are involved in agriculture, in very less people are involved in secondary and tertiary sector. Okay, so that is our occupational structure during the British rule. Then come to the next point, that is infrastructure during the British rule. What is our infrastructure there? As you already knows what is infrastructure. In case of infrastructure, we are having road, railways, transport, communication, health facility, education, housing facilities. But at the time of British rule, only they have invested in roads or transport, you can say roads, railway, air, water transport, because all these transport are helping them to improve their for import of raw material and for export of finished goods. Okay, and these communication also help them for the that import and export. Same, that is the reasons, or that is the part on which in case of British rule they are invested in infrastructure like roads, railways, air and water transport and communication. They did not support any improvement in uh, health facilities, in housing facilities, education and all that. So that is the condition of infrastructure at the time of British rule. Then come to the last topic of this chapter, that is positive impact of British rule in India. As we know, there are drastic uh, you can say effect of British rule in the Indian economy. Because of them our Indian economy is just stagnant, backward, very in bad condition. But still some positive impact of that British rule are visualized in India. Like first point, commercialization of agriculture. Because of only British rule we can understand before than other countries. That commercialization of agriculture, that we can grow that type of crop that we can earn more and more money. The second point is development of infrastructure. Development of infrastructure means, already we have discussed that that British government are supported road, railways, air and water transport, communication, all these facilities in India. So India is lucky in that case. They have these development of these infrastructure other before than other countries. Okay, come to the next, that is check on famines. Because of development of infrastructure, transport, communication and all that, we are able to check on famines like all other natural calamities which is affected our population very much. Then come to the fourth point, monetary system of exchange. Because of before the British rule, we are uh, we are dependent on the barter system. You know what is barter system? Only uh, we are exchanging most of the economy is dependent on barter system. Okay, that time coins and all that is introduced, but still the use of money, the more use of money is learned Indian people by the because of British rules. So monetary system of exchange they can understand very well because of British rule. Then the last point is effective administration. That effective administration which they have developed, where they have infrastructure in India to for the development of their industries, or for the development of their British companies in India. We people are learned how to have a effective administration, and after the independence we also use that their effective policies for the development of our country. So dear students, that is the first chapter of Indian economy, and in one video I have completed this, and I will give you questions on based of that chapter and next PDF. Okay, goodbye, thank you.